Hi, I'm Dr. John Christopher. Welcome to my mindfulness yoga routine. Let's begin with a forward bend. So slowly letting the head begin to roll down towards the chest, and then just rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. Letting the weight of gravity slowly pull your head down towards the floor. Notice if your feet are aligned, and if not, take a moment and align your feet so that they're parallel. Release the back of your neck, draw your chin in towards your chest just a little bit so that your head's in a neutral position and you're looking behind you. And then close your eyes and sink into your experience. Fully notice what it's like to receive the blood flow into your head and chest. See if you can receive that with openness. Notice if there's any resistance, any tension, any holding back, and see if you can just soften and receive whatever is happening in this moment. And then let's grab our ankles for a moment and deepen the stretch by gently pulling our head down towards the ankles. Just trying to bring the chest towards the thighs, the head towards the ankles. Noticing any tendency to judge our performance, to compare ourselves with other people or how we were another time. And just being present with where we are now, focusing in on our breath and letting your breath allow your body to unfold. And now bending your right knee a fair bit, allow your weight to shift into your left leg. And notice that the stretch becomes a little bit different. You may feel it the outside of your leg. Allow the weight to shift into the left hip. So we're starting to get a little bit of an outer hip stretch. You may want to roll your weight onto the outside edge of your left foot and notice what that's like inside. And perhaps at the end of an exhale, you can draw your belly up and in a little bit, and with that extra space, your torso can drop down towards your thigh. Breathing fully and deeply. And then let's switch sides, bending the left knee, straightening the right leg, receiving the weight, the sensation now in the right side of your hip, the right side of the outside of your leg, maybe in the knee and the calf. Seeing if you can maintain a calm, even breath. And when we lose that calm, regular breathing, it's an indication that maybe we're trying to do too much, going too far, too fast. So perhaps backing off, refining your breath, letting the breath guide you. Great. And then let's straighten both legs. One more deep inhale. Exhale, draw the belly up and in, gently pulling the head towards the floor, towards the ankles. Good. And then exhale, inhale. So we slowly release the pose, beginning to come back up, vertebrae by vertebrae, bringing the head up last. Take a couple full, deep breaths, allowing the blood to come back into balance. Let's do another variation on the forward bend. Yoga Mudra. We'll bring the feet about 2.5, 3 feet apart, and we're going to interlace our fingers behind our back. Trying to keep your elbows straight. If that's hard to do, you might want to use a strap between your hands so that you can separate your arms. Inhaling, let your shoulders come up and then back and down, pulling your hands down your back towards the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Nice, deep, slow breaths. Raising your heart, raising your chest. Maybe looking up a little bit. Hint of a back bend. Allowing the chest to really open. Good. Now let's begin to roll our head down to the chest and down to the floor. Release the tension in your arms. And we're just going to drop the head down. Take a breath or two and allow gravity to slowly stretch here. If you'd like to be a little bit wider with your feet or a little narrower, adjust your stance. And now we're going to begin to lift the arms up over our head, gently starting to stretch the shoulders. So very slowly, continuing to breathe fully and deeply, staying fully present with the sensation. Just waiting for the shoulders to release. Listening to your body's own timing instead of trying to move based on some expectation that you have of how your body should behave. Realizing that every day our bodies are different, and it's our job in this practice to listen and to follow our bodies rather than to lead them or force them. Continuing to breathe fully and deeply. And maybe at the end of an exhale, we can pull our belly up and in again and let that length ripple up through our spine, up into our shoulders and arms. And on the inhale, back off just ever so slightly. Let your body rest and recuperate. And on the exhale again, re-lengthen, sitting bones rise up, chest comes forward, maybe the arms come a little closer to the ground. A couple more breaths at your own pace. Good, and then let's slowly come out of it, lowering the arms back down to your back and rolling back up, bringing your head up last. If you feel at all dizzy or faint, you can tighten at the base of your spine, Kegel type exercise, and push the blood back up into your brain. And bringing the feet together. Great, and now let's come down onto the floor, onto our hands and knees. So we want to have our shoulders directly over our hands and our hips right over our knees. And we're going to do a series called cat-cow. So this is two poses put together, cat pose and cow pose. So inhale, we're going to move into cow pose. Tip your sitting bones back, let your belly drop down, looking up with your head. And then exhale, tipping your sitting bones the other way, arching your back, dropping your head between your arms. And then inhale, shifting your pelvis the other way, pushing your sitting bones back, looking up, cow pose, exhale, cat pose. Letting the movement ripple up through your spine, head drops down. Inhale up into cow pose. Imagine a heavy udder hanging down, pulling your belly down. And cat pose. Let the movement start in your sacrum and ripple up through your spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, cow. Seeing if with each repetition the movement can get a little bit smoother, a little more rhythmic, a little more graceful. Exhale, cat. And now at your own pace, back and forth, the slower the better, being as conscious and aware as you can of the movement. undulating through your spine. Not needing to push too far, too hard, just gently going back and forth, maybe with a little greater range each time. Let's do one more round. Exhale, cat. And come into a neutral position. In the next pose, we're going to focus on learning how to have exertion, how to be working our bodies, but at the same time how to relax as much of the rest of the body as possible. So we're going to start by raising the right leg up behind us, trying to keep the hips level, so not letting the right hip drift up. The hips stay level, extending out through the ball of the right foot, lifting the leg up, trying to have it parallel with the rest of the back. And then, if your balance is comfortable with it, beginning to raise the opposite arm, the left arm up to the same height, and looking out and see if you can connect your left hand to your right foot. So one line of energy, letting the breath do the work. So notice the tendency for the rest of the body to tense up. See if you can soften your face. Finding a place of calmness in the midst of effort, in the midst of stress. Good. And then lower the arm and lower the back leg. Take a breath. Exhale deeply. Good. Let's lift the left leg now. And again, try to keep the hips parallel, and then raising the right arm up, looking out, trying not to crunch the neck too far back, looking out towards the floor, the hand, and seeing again if you can relax as much as possible, so you're holding the pose with a minimal amount of effort, and continuing to really lengthen and find the connection between the right arm and the left leg, working the psoas muscle, very deep abdominal organ. Good. And let's lower everything back down to the floor. Again, take a very deep inhale. Exhale even more slowly. And one more inhale. And one more deep, slow exhale. Great. Coming around, bringing our feet in front of us. And we're going to shift now and come into a lunge on the right side. So right foot comes forward, left leg goes back. Walk your left knee back, but keep your right knee over your right ankle so that your lower leg is perpendicular to the floor. And hands on either side of your foot, heads in a neutral position. Let's begin by trying to imagine our pelvis dropping down and forward towards our front ankle. So this is the movement that allows our groin to open, our left quadricep to stretch. Maybe beginning to bring the head up a little bit. Inhaling fully and deeply. So a tendency is for our hips to want to rise up, to avoid the sensations and the deep stretch that this lunge brings. And we want to move our pelvis down and forward to try to deepen. Just working with the body, not going too far, not pushing too fast, but just waiting for the body to open. And if this is comfortable, but only then, you can bring one hand to the right knee and maybe a second hand, and again keeping the pelvis down and low, beginning to bring the chest up off of the right leg. using your breath. So this is a very intense pose. We really want to be gentle, compassionate with our body. From here, we're going to move into Pigeon Pose. So bringing the right foot over to the left side of our body, knee comes pointed forward. If you're really flexible, your foot will come out towards your hands. If you're less flexible, your right foot comes back towards your hips. And walking the left knee back, but still keeping your right buttock off the ground, you begin to come forward and down, perhaps resting on the forearms. And release the back of the neck, dropping the head down, closing your eyes, and becoming aware of the sensations, particularly in the right side of your hip. Noticing if your face is soft and relaxed in your shoulders. And if not, seeing if you can soften those areas and any other areas that don't need to be tense to hold this position. Noticing if you're still breathing calmly and rhythmically. And letting yourself just sink down into whatever's happening in your body. Consciously staying present, consciously assimilating, consciously integrating. Avoiding the temptation to check out or distance yourself from sensations that may seem unpleasant, uncomfortable, stressful. And then beginning to walk the hands back in and coming up. Let's do the lunge now on the left side. So bring the left foot forward. And again with the knee right over the ankle. Walking the other knee back. And trying to think about bringing our pelvis again down and forward towards the ankle. What do you need to do inside to help that movement? And notice if you're still breathing. So oftentimes when we find ourselves under stress or in a difficult situation, we stop breathing. See if you can re-find your breath. And then if you want to, maybe beginning to bring one hand and then the other to your knee, raising the torso, but only if you can keep your pelvis still down and low. So we almost form a kind of suspension bridge from the shoulders down to the right knee, and everything just suspends below that line. Continuing to breathe calmly and deeply. Really receiving the sensations produced by the lunge. And then switching into pigeon. Bringing the left foot over to the right side. Left knee comes forward. Walking the right knee back. And keeping the left buttock off the ground. Beginning to come forward with your torso. And we're really trying to bring our left hip back as our chest goes forward the opposite direction. When we do that, we feel a kind of dynamic tension deep in our core, and it's the psoas engaging and stretching. And of course, we're doing a lot with the outer hip and the groin in this pose. So we want to release the back of the neck, soften the face, perhaps bringing a gentle smile to your lips. And research now shows that by changing the postures in our face, the expressions in our face, we change our whole physiology, even despite whatever we're consciously thinking or feeling. So bringing us just the hint of a smile to your lips can help your whole body open up, relax, produce a parasympathetic nervous system response. Noticing if there's unnecessary tension in any area of your body and inviting it to dissipate, to dissolve, relax, release. Still breathing fully and deeply. And gently and gracefully coming out of this pose. Cobbler. So with the soles of the feet together, bring your hands behind your back, maybe 6 inches from your sacrum, fingers pointed away. And let's remember what cat pose feels like. So letting your back arch and your head drop down, and then coming into cow pose, tipping your pelvis the other way, raising your chest, sternum out, heart open, shoulders back and down. And then let's stay in this position and continue to breathe fully and deeply. So we've created a lot of length through the core, and now off of that length, perhaps your knees can begin to drop down towards the floor a little bit more. And let's coordinate this with the breath. So on the inhale, back off a little bit. Release some of the tension. And on the exhale, refine cow pose, chest comes forward, and maybe the knees drop down. Inhale, back off. Exhale, lifting the torso, separating the rib cage from the hips, knees drop down. And then we'll shift into a second variation. Thumbs come to the inside of the feet, fingers on the outside. Inhale, again, trying to find that inner length through your core. And on the exhale, pulling the rib cage up and forward, maybe coming forward now with the torso towards the floor. And then inhale, back off just a little bit, letting your body rest and recuperate. Exhale through the nose as the torso comes forward. Maybe the knees drop down. And let's just do a couple more. Inhale, back off. Exhale. And at your own pace. Good, and gently release. Crossing your legs in front of you, we're going to do a side stretch. So, bring your left hand out. We're going to raise the right hand up to the sky and really extend up through the right side of your torso. So feel a length from your right buttock all the way up to your fingertips. And now we're going to begin to let the right arm come to the side, to the left side, crossing over your head. And at the same time, we're going to begin to walk the left hand out, straight out to the side. And inhale and exhale, sink maybe a little bit lower. Pushing the right hip wants to come off the floor, so push your right hip back down towards the floor. At the same time, you're pulling your hand, right hand the opposite direction. Maybe being able to drop down onto the forearm. So we're getting a complete spinal or side twist and stretching our spine laterally here. Inhale and exhale, maybe sinking a little bit lower, just waiting for a body. Noticing if you're still breathing. If not, maybe back off a little bit. Always maintaining calm, rhythmic breath. And then starting to slowly come up, raising the right hand straight up, bringing the left hand up now to meet it, and then lowering the right arm down to your side, and beginning to walk the right arm hand out now, letting the left arm cross over your head. Again, notice the tendency for your left buttock to come off the ground, and see if you can weight that, bring that back down to the floor. Inhaling, exhaling deeply and rhythmically. And just waiting for your body to receive the stretch, to open. Maybe the right forearm comes down to the floor now, maybe not, it's not so important. And then let's bring left hand back up, right hand meets it, really stretching vertically, and both arms come back down to the side. Let's do one more seated pose before we allow our backs to rest. Spinal twist. So, a couple of options for this pose. One option is to bring the left leg straight, right arm over, and begin to clasp the hand around the left knee and twist. A little bit more advanced pose is bending the underlying leg and trying to get the arm on the other side of the leg, those sitting bones on the floor, lifting the torso up, finding length, separating the rib cage and the pelvis. Maybe the left hand can form a circle around the big toe with the thumb and forefinger. Maybe not, maybe it just rests there. And the right hand is at the base of the spine, fingers pointed away, and we look over the right shoulder. So we're compressing and squeezing a lot of the abdominal organs. We're clearly twisting the spine. We're also stretching the hips. There's a lot going on here. And we want to just be fully and consciously present, not pushing ourselves too far, too fast. Heads in a neutral position. Notice if your face is soft and relaxed, or if there's tension or effort embodied in your face. And gently releasing, smoothly and gracefully switching to the other side. So we'll bring the right leg either out in front or bending it and underneath. Left foot comes to the outside of the right knee. Take a moment to get both sitting bones firmly on the ground, raising your chest up. Maybe the arm can come to the other side of the knee to create torque. If not, just cradle the knee and twisting around. Maybe grabbing the thumb, big toe between the thumb and forefinger, and then finding vertical length, looking out, twisting, looking behind you. Complete spinal twist. Find your breath. Don't give in to the temptation to stop breathing, even though you're in the midst of an awkward or stressful position. Perhaps backing off just a little bit, refinding your sitting bones pushing down, your rib cage pulling up, maybe a little bit Now further, you can move into the pose. So we've done a lot of work now. We've opened our hips up, stretched our whole hip area from all sides, worked on our spine. Let's lie on our backs and give our back a rest now, a well-deserved rest. So lying on your back, on your mat, let's drop into corpse pose. So our arms are 4 to 6 inches from our sides with the palms up, and our feet are 6 to 8 inches apart. And we right away want to drop into mindful breathing. So allow your breath to come way down into your belly and fill up the middle part of your lungs and then the upper part of your lungs. And allow your exhale to last ideally twice as long as your inhale. So savoring the exhale. The slower we can make the exhale, the more that we can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which allows us to recuperate from stress. So it's the opposite of the flight-fight response, sometimes called the rest and digest response. And in our harried lives, we often don't get out of a stress response very often. So we want to take advantage of these opportunities. And we can do that by really noticing our breath and using it to help us activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Allow your breath to go to any areas that feel tight or are perhaps complaining a little bit about the yoga that we've just done. Allow yourself to assimilate the poses we've done so far. And if you notice areas of tightness or tension, see if you can just receive the sensation there. So we often want to push away, wall off, or contract around pain or discomfort, as if we could make it smaller somehow or make it disappear. And instead, see if you can take just this opposite stance of allowing whatever sensation there to be as big as it wants to be, to wash through you, to go where it wants to go. And just observing, witnessing what happens, noticing how quickly the experience changes if you do that. Okay, we're going to move now into half knee squeeze. So bring the feet together. Let's raise the right leg straight up and then bring the knee into the chest, clasping your hands around your knee. And we really want to squeeze now the knee into your torso as much as you can. So really use your arm strength to pull your knee in very tightly. And then as soon as we do that as much as we can, we want to immediately begin to relax the rest of the body. So we want to relax the face, soften the face, relax the neck, the shoulders. Maybe we can even relax the arms some, even though they're working. And relaxing the right foot. We might want to lengthen the spine, adjust the spine by bending the left knee and bringing the left foot on the floor for just a moment, feeling your spine flatten, and then extend your left foot back down to the floor. Maybe pushing out through the heel of the left foot, increase the length. And then really let yourself drop down into the right side of your abdomen to be fully present with what is happening there. So we're creating a lot of internal pressure. We're helping to cleanse all the abdominal organs, particularly the right side organs, the liver, the right adrenal gland and kidney. So we're helping to bring all of these organs into balance, eliminate toxins and impurities, squeeze out old blood, make room for fresh blood and nutrients in these organs. And there's a lot going on here. Again, a very powerful pose, but a very simple one. And a great one to help address any gastrointestinal issues. And let's gently release that, lowering the right leg back down to the floor, raising the left leg up. Now, bring the left knee in, and again, really squeezing it into the chest. And right away, trying to relax the rest of the body, relaxing everything that isn't necessary to maintain the pose, especially softening the face. Relaxing the left foot, maybe bending the right knee, aligning your spine, and then lowering the right leg down, extending out through the heel. Let yourself sink into the left side of your abdomen now. You may also want to notice if your back of your neck is extended, and draw your chin in towards your chest just a little bit to help lengthen the back of your neck so it's not too arched in this position. Perhaps closing your eyes so that your experience is really internal, really with yourself. Alright, and now let's lower the left leg down. Take a full, complete breath. And you can let it out with a sigh if you want. And we're going to raise both legs up to the ceiling. Bring the knees into the chest. I'm going to try to bring the arms around the knees and clasp at the elbows if you can. And if that's challenging, just clasp at the wrists. But trying to clasp at the elbows, allow your feet to be parallel. So don't let one foot cross over the other. And again, maybe trying to draw the chin in towards the chest a little bit to lengthen the back of the neck. And trying to breathe as deeply as you can, even though our lungs are somewhat compressed here. And let's release that. Back to corpse pose for a moment. A few complete, full, deep breaths. Again, allowing the exhale to last twice as long as the inhale. Roll over onto one side now and come to one of our mat and lie down on our belly for a moment. And let's just rest with on our left cheek, looking out to the side. Again, taking a deep breath. And then bring your hands up about shoulder height. Bring your forehead onto the ground. See if you can bring your pelvis firmly in touch with the ground. That'll help protect your back. And then slowly begin to raise your head up off the ground. This is a pose called Cobra. Toes, big toes touching, heels come apart. Beginning to press with the arms. Allow your shoulders to be back and down. Beginning to look up with the torso. Belly stays down. Again, maintaining your breath. So it's very easy to stop breathing in this position. See if you can still maintain fluid breath. Good, and then let's come back down. Rest on the opposite cheek. Hands come down to the side. And let's push back now into prayer pose. Let your knees be a little bit apart to make room for your belly. Head drops down towards the floor. And this is a resting pose, allowing your back to stretch. So we do one pose and then stretching the opposite direction. So pose and counter pose. Bringing balance into the body and mind. And coming up, we're going to end our routine with corpse pose. So again, feet are a little bit apart, arms out from the sides, palms up. Becoming aware of our breath, mindfully breathing, complete yogic breath. Filling up the belly, and the middle lungs, and then the upper lobes of the lungs, and allowing the exhale to be ever deeper and slower. Consciously integrating our yoga practice. This pose becomes the most important. Noting any areas of tightness or tension, and seeing if you can breathe into those areas to allow that tension to dissolve. Or consciously trying to open up to and receive the sensations that are there. So that whatever sensations are there, whatever energy is there, it finds its own balance, comes into equilibrium. And maybe connected to certain feelings, associations. I can just allow those to be there. Trying to trust that whatever our experience is, there's a good reason for it, even if we don't know it at the time. With each breath, allowing the floor to support us just a little bit more. As we realize that in this moment, there's absolutely nothing that we have to do except to be present with ourselves. Allowing the breath to become more natural now as it settles into its own rhythm. Noticing that our experience is different than it was a few moments ago. And the longer that you can stay in corpse pose and integrate your yoga practice, the better. ideally staying for a few more moments here, cherishing each moment. And when you're ready, slowly letting yourself get up, coming to one side and rolling up, and preparing for the rest of the day's activities. Thank you for joining me in this mindfulness practice. I hope it makes the rest of your day wonderful.